Episode of Let's Talk Money with Friends. Every Wednesday, we have the privilege of coming to you to share really great information. We always say our information that we share here on Let's Talk Money with Friends, timely and relevant. Why? Because every single day we need information. And tonight, I truly believe that this is something that we all ought to be calling our friends, calling our relatives, tag, share, make a comment, let them know that Let's Talk Money with Friends is on tonight. And we're going to talk about something that everybody needs. Everybody needs it. Whether you have children, whether you have a family, whether you're single, everybody needs life insurance. So yes, tonight's topic is life insurance matters. And the reason why on the second week of the year, we're talking about that is because, believe it or not, we've already lost friends this year. And we've already seen how a lack of insurance can impact somebody's life. So tonight, we have an insurance broker on the line, and she's somebody who's, she's been helping families, and she's going to tell you a little bit about herself and also give us, we're going to have an opportunity to talk about really what is insurance, how does it work, how can it work for you, and why should everybody have, why should everybody have insurance? And also, too, I just want to say briefly that, yeah, we would like for you this year, 2024, to not just be a bystander, because we know that we have so many people watching the show, and they are watching because they text us saying like, yes, they cannot wait for the show. But please, we are asking you this year to tag, share, make a comment, and yeah, share, like, so that more and more friends, because this friend here who's on the line was referred to me by another friend. And the first thing she told me, she said, Gabrielle, how come I never heard of your show and you've been doing it for 3 years? I said, listen, I've been asking everybody to share. And if you're not sharing tonight's information, if you're not sharing with a friend or two, you're really not doing what you're supposed to be doing in 2024. Because I know this year, I said that I want this year to be your best year ever, because I know it's going to be my best year ever. Would you want that for your friends and your family members and the people that you know? If you want it to be their best year ever, let them know about tonight's topic. Let them know about tonight's show. So without further ado, I would like to welcome my friend. Yes, believe it or not, how many Gabrielle can we have in this world? Yes, we can have a lot more than me. So we have Gabrielle on the phone. Her name is Gabrielle Walker, and she's going to be introducing herself, letting you know why she's on the show tonight. And yeah, we're going to dive into this important conversation about life insurance. Life insurance matters. Gabrielle?
Hi, everybody. Gabrielle, thank you so much for having me. You look absolutely amazing. Love the jewelry.
Thank
You look
you.
very great.
Yes.
Um, so I my name is Gabrielle Walker, and I am an insurance broker. And I've been in this business for a couple of years, and I absolutely love this. It's just like insurance makes such a huge difference. And one of the things that I know, like coming from a nursing background, because I was a critical care nurse for numbers of years, 14 years. And I remember seeing families being devastating, when they lose a loved one, and the impact it had on them financially was like incredible. And I remember saying, oh my gosh, I really didn't understand like the impact of it until like it happened to me, to some of my loved ones. So
Yeah.
insurance make a big difference. And I realized that there's different kind of insurance thing, and we're gonna talk about that too.
Yeah. So
And
yeah, definitely. I just
yeah.
want to welcome you on the show tonight because there's so much we want to share. We want to have this conversation because at the end of the day, at the beginning of the year, last week, we talked about having our resolutions, working on your resolutions. But if you have a family and even if you're single, you do need to think about insurance as primary. We were talking about it, Gabrielle. We said that, if you're building a house, you need a foundation. Listen, you cannot be building a house, planning for your future with all the things that we talked about, all the financial products we're going to be talking about this year, retirement, education for your kids, and, you name it, and not have something that is there as the foundation to protect all those other things. Because at the end of the day, you're planning for your kids' education. If you die prematurely, how do they go to college, right? So we're gonna dive into that. But let me just share some statistics, Gabrielle. Well, yeah, thank you, Gabrielle. I wanted to mention that. Yes, my necklace. This is a gift from my nephew. Actually, not my nephew and my godson, because her mother is a sister to me. My godson, and he said to me, "Where is for Christmas, for the holidays?" And I didn't have a place to go to wear it at the time. So this today I texted him, texted her and said that, I'm gonna be wearing it tonight in honor of him. That was my Christmas gift, the necklace.
Good
So thank
gift.
you
That's a
very
good
much,
one.
friend. I really
Yeah.
appreciate you. But the reason why I do this is because I care about people, and I care about families, and I care about friends. And I know for
Mhm.
me, I've always had these conversations with families about the importance of insurance. Unfortunately, about 50% of Americans do not have life insurance. 50%.
Oh,
Now you're talking about
that's
Americans,
high.
not just a community. So certain communities, it'll probably be 90%, right? Because
Mhm.
they haven't been educated about it, they haven't been informed, and they say no, no, no before they even know what it is. That's why we're gonna talk about what it is tonight. 50%. And that number has actually gone down since 2021, where the percentage went down 2%. So in 2021, it was 52%. Now it's at 21%. Um, More men have insurance than women. They say
Wow.
that 53% of men have life insurance compared to 46% women.
I was kind of shocked about that statistic.
Really? Why? What
Yeah.
don't you think? Well, most men, given the fact that they're usually the breadwinners, they're the main breadwinner in the family, many more of them, I would think, would have an interest in protecting their income, right?
Well, yeah, but like I guess the way I'm looking at it was like from a mother point of view, you
Uh-huh.
will think like, the mother will be more insured just in case something happened. That's how I was thinking
Yeah.
about it. So
Plus,
that's shocking.
yeah, plus Gabrielle, the single family, many single family
Right.
households are being led by women. You would
A
think, well,
woman.
women are nurturers, they'll take care of you, they'll feed you. Well, when it
Yes.
comes to financial situation, financial products or financial services products, they're really shy away from that because they quote unquote don't understand. Believe it or not, you were asking me who's watching the show. I'm looking behind the scenes, behind the scene, who's watching my show on my main page.
Mhm.
75% of the people who are watching me are men.
Oh,
Only
wow.
25% are women. And then on the
Wow.
Let's Talk Money with Friends page, it's even about it's still more men than women. So I don't know why.
Wow.
I don't know
So we
why, but
gotta up the game.
I know we have to, because this show, I'm a woman, and this show I'm doing it mostly. Of course, I want, I'm inclusive. I want men and women to watch it, but I'm doing this mostly for women because I know statistically women are single, are staying
Yes.
single, they're divorced.
Yes.
Many of them are
Yes.
losing their husbands. Lately, the last two people who lost their spouses were women.
Wow.
Literally, women who are left with children without a husband. In the last
Wow.
3 months, I had two families who lost
Wow.
husbands. So because of that, you cannot not be in the know. You have to know.
Yes.
And of course, what they say, 68% of life insurance, in terms of like the people who have life insurance feeling secure about life insurance,
Yes.
68% of people with life insurance feel financially secure
That's
compared
nice.
to 47% of non-owners. So when you have life insurance, it actually gives you peace of mind. So the statistic, I'm telling you, let's say after the death of a primary wage earner, 44% of Americans will feel the financial burden within 6 months. So you have someone, a husband or a wife who's working, they're the one who's the primary wage earner in the family. And then 6 months later, after they're gone, unfortunately, prematurely, you're talking about financial strains, financial stress. Do you really want that? You said you were a nurse, a critical care nurse. You remember how it felt when you say to someone,
Mhm.
I'm sorry you lost your
Yeah.
husband, I'm
You
sorry.
came
Yeah.
you can't grieve. You like literally can't grieve. And are you grieving because of the loss of the person or the extra burden of the finance? Like you literally cannot grieve, and that's not even the way to actually live.
Yeah, it's not the way to actually live. So earlier this week, when we were talking, Gabrielle, I said that we wanted to share 5 reasons why. 5 reasons, right? Very quickly as
Yes,
to why. We've already shared so many here. If you're watching and you have a family, you're already like, oh, wait a second.
yes.
Am I one of the for men, 47% who's uninsured? Yeah, I need to
Mhm.
do something about that. But there are 5 reasons, right? When I think about it, you said you've been in the industry and you've been a critical care nurse and you see the pain that comes with losing a loved one, right? So what is the first reason why do you believe like someone ought to have life insurance?
You have to have it to protect your family.
Yeah,
Yeah, you definitely need to have it to protect your family.
yeah. So we had said that, insurance is an act of love. Would you believe like the
Definitely.
first reason why should be because it's an act of love?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then, people don't think like, you put money and love together
Yeah,
while money is love. Like,
correct,
taking care of your loved ones is an act of love.
correct.
So, if knock on wood, something happened to my husband and he leave me here, like, stranded with 3 kids, did you really love me the right way?
Hmm.
Like, you didn't think about like, like what's gonna happen to us. And then you need to plan before something happens.
Correct. And I think of the fact that, we were talking about the fact that in the good book, the book that I love so much, the Bible, it talks
Yes.
about like a wise man leaves an inheritance.
Yes, for
His
his
children's
children.
children. Not only for your children, but for your grandkids. So how do you leave an inheritance if you're 32 years old? And of course, you didn't have an inheritance left for you. And you build it, and then all of a sudden you have a heart attack, and you have 2 small kids, and you had not take the responsibility, you had not made the effort to call an insurance agent like Gabrielle and
Right.
ask her, can you sit down with me? Like, I love what you say, ask me, how can I help? How can I ask me, how can what is it, how
Ask
I
me
can
how I
help
can
protect your
protect your
family?
family.
Sorry, I'm like looking at this here. It's like, okay, yes, definitely. I love the fact that you're asking them to ask you how I can help
How?
protect your family. So, yeah, ask an insurance agent, ask Gabrielle, how can she help you protect your family? Because it's an act of love. If you love your
It
spouse and if
is.
you love your children, love is an action verb, right? You
It
gotta
is.
act. You gotta
Act.
act to show love, not just say I love you, but if something were to happen to you, you will leave in this person in total
Right.
destitution. The second reason
Destitution.
why, yeah, the total destitution. The second reason why I feel
Wait a
like,
second, Gabrielle. You know how you say, like, the Bible, like, your children. Life insurance is actually the first time that actually that whole part of the Bible actually really truly makes sense to me. Because I
correct.
was always wonder, I was like, what does the Bible? Because some things of the Bible to me are complicated. And
Mm,
then for years I read that and I'm just like, how do you live like for your generation. When I didn't know any better, I thought it was through savings. I didn't actually understand it was through life insurance. You can actually make that impact.
correct, correct. Because very few people can save enough money when they're young.
Yes.
If something
Right,
were to happen to be self-insured, you need to
right.
have that life insurance. The second thing I would say in terms of like the reason why, if you're watching here, we say the lack of love, but also, again, they say like 44% of Americans who do have 68% of those who have life insurance feel financially secure, right? So peace of mind, would you say peace of mind would be a second reason why?
Absolutely, absolutely.
What
Can
does
you
peace
imagine
of mind feel like to you?
peace of mind feel like having the freedom to be and not having to worry? Because
Correct.
you shouldn't have to, like, as children of God, I don't feel like you should have to all the time think about what if something happened. You
Correct.
shouldn't, you should know that you took care of things. Like, my finances are laid out. Definitely.
Yeah, the peace of mind, because I always say one of the best things you can do for yourself to keep yourself young and healthy, because sleep is one of those things that will keep you young and healthy. And even
Yes.
doctors would say that. But I know those who are not feeling financially secure cannot sleep at night.
Yes. You
You
can't.
cannot have peace of mind
You
because you're
can't.
worrying. You like, oh, little Johnny, little Peter, little Joseph.
Right.
If something were to happen to me, what would become of my children? Well,
Right.
I'm not saying life insurance will cover everything, but definitely life insurance will cover the financial basis that you need to cover.
Right. You can actually grieve, like we were talking about before. You can actually make a plan. Okay, what are we going to do? What can we do about our home? What can we pay off? Why do we have to move out of our home? You
Correct.
see, like you can be and just like, oh my gosh, we lost somebody. Let's talk about it versus them being chaotic.
Exactly, because at the end of the day, what does life insurance do? The third thing, yes, it is an act of love. Yes, it is gonna give you the person who's gonna be insured, and for your family, you're gonna have peace of mind knowing that if you're here or if you're not here, they're gonna be okay. Because guess what? Life insurance replaces income, right?
Yes. Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. It's important that again, you've been saying it. If you're not able to, if you're not here to bring that paycheck, that your life insurance is there to take care of your family. Have you ever seen this? Do you have any personal experiences like where you've seen someone's income was replaced by life insurance?
Absolutely. But a lot of people doesn't actually think it's actually true. They always think like they give you all this money, and I'm just like, that's why you're buying it. That's the reason I tell people, I'm like, we need to get educated because it's true. It's happening. One of my clients just like, just got her income replaced. Like, well, her husband is still alive, but there are life insurance to where you don't have to die. And
Right.
she still benefiting from that, just planning. But do it before something happens.
And we're gonna
We
go over those type of life insurance, but we want to
yeah,
quickly share the benefits so that when we
yes,
talk about those things, you already know. So yeah, the income replacement part is important because you know what?
definitely.
I've been to funerals, people come
Yes,
in and they'll say, I'm sorry, je suis désolé. The French,
of
they'll
course.
come and say, my code, they'll be like,
Condolences.
they'll cry with you even, but nobody's gonna pay your mortgage next month.
No,
Nobody's
no,
gonna sign you a check to send your kids to college.
no.
Nobody's gonna sign a check to even pay the last expense bill
Mm,
that you just occur. Because many
right.
times, I remember vividly, this lady told me years ago, about 20 years ago, when her mom died, she had to go to the bank to get a loan for $20,000 because mom
Yes,
had been here. Mom had been asked by many insurance agents to get a life insurance. When she had 3 kids, she could have gotten a life insurance policy, but she said no, 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 because she didn't understand. Because you cannot
yeah.
say no to something like that if you
You
really
can't. We
she didn't
can't.
understand. Instead of asking for more information, she said no, right? And at the end of the
Yeah.
day, when she died, she did die prematurely at 52, and her kids
Wow.
had to go ahead and get a loan. Replacement income, we love it, the casserole. They bring food. Everybody's bringing food. They go to BJ's and buy you a couple bags of whatever because you're gonna have visitors, extra visitors. But guess what? Those
Right.
extra visitors, what are they doing? They come to the house, the lights on all night,
Right.
and they're flushing
Right.
the, you know what, and water is
Yep.
running. And then you have all the extra bills at the end of the
Yeah.
month because you had
That's
extra
exactly.
visitors. If you didn't have money, it's gonna be so yeah, replacement income. So what would you say the fourth reason why we had talked about? We just mentioned it. Don't you want to die with dignity?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. And you know something, going back a little bit, Gabby, is the whole GoFundMe thing that actually irritates me.
Yeah,
Instead of like, planning, we just like, doing hands out. Like, that like we beggars. Like, if we were to plan for things, we wouldn't have to like, make it almost like a requirement for people to actually give you. Remember so and so, you like so and so. And I'm just like, yeah, I do like them. But in the meantime, though, people have their own life that require their own finances, and you don't have to hold on in somebody else's finance.
Yeah, years ago when I got involved in the financial services industry, I remember peace of mind because I like to sleep. And I also heard die with dignity. I'm a very proud woman and I like to die with dignity. And I said, okay, where
Yes.
do I sign? Because I wanted to make sure I die with dignity. I don't want people to do any GoFundMe on my behalf, and I don't want anybody to raise funds or go get a loan. God forbid, I want to
No,
do it before my mom for her to have to call friends and family and say, oh,
gosh.
can you give a couple $100 here to bury Gabrielle? No. Or if I were to become sick, we're gonna talk about that. I
Yes.
don't wanna be at the mercy of
Right.
other people because you can plan for those things.
You
So
can't,
die with
and people
dignity and live with
become
dignity.
enemies. There's a lot of family that become enemies over the, like, you only gave that amount and I gave more. So that becomes a big, like, family pride just over money, things that we could have planned ahead of time.
Yeah, and when you have access to funds, you no longer a burden.
Yes,
Folks don't have a problem coming around you because you
right.
are financially responsible. It's very
Yes,
important to have that. And all these things we've been saying since last year, the end of last year. You don't have to have a budget in order for you to plan your life.
no,
Without a
no.
budget, you cannot plan your life. So it's very important to know that dying with dignity is the most important thing. So of course, lastly, we've said it before and we just want to reiterate. When you have life insurance, not only would you be financially independent, but also the generational wealth. We've mentioned that,
Yes,
right? How much
yes.
more can we say about that?
We can never say enough. We can never, like, I feel like people remember you better when they know that you left them better.
Exactly. Or they'll remember you better when you left. We definitely need to hashtag that one. Yeah, they'll
Yeah.
remember you better when you left them better. Yeah, right. When you left them with like resources so that they didn't have to go and loan $20,000
Right.
to bury you. I know like
Yes.
every person wants to do the best for a family member, but at the end of the day, if you can do what you can to plan, that's the key. Now,
Plan.
we've been talking about life insurance as a whole and some of the benefits, but let's go deeper, okay? So when we talk about life insurance, how would you describe what is life insurance? To me, life insurance, and you can go ahead and deepen that conversation. Life insurance is either selfish or selfless. So can you explain the selfish and the selfless component of life insurance?
You know something? I love that. And the truth of the matter is, I love how you wrapped it, the selfish, the selfless. I love it because it give it a little hashtag to it. I
Yeah.
just think, like, you have to leave people better. You have to think about other people. It's not fair that you're only thinking about the now. That's so selfish if I'm only thinking about, oh, we okay now. But it's so selfish. Why not being selfless by saying, hey, let's plan for stuff? Because the truth of the matter is, death and dying is part of life. Why
Correct.
are we not planning about the dying part? Why do we get so mad when we start saying about dying like it's something bad? We all supposed to die. Why are we not planning? Why are we not planning or talking about it? Why does it become a suspicious thing if we start saying dying? I don't
Yeah.
understand that part.
Yeah, it's taboo. I think life insurance, when the other day, I think it was like a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about the movie Life is Wonderful, You Matter. And we talked about being a little bit selfish, taking care of yourself. So when I think of life insurance being selfish or selfless, I think about the fact that we had alluded to it earlier, that life insurance is also for you. It's selfish because it's
Yes.
also for you because of the
Yes.
living benefits, right? The living
Mhm.
benefits, because right now, once upon a time, right, Gabrielle? Once upon a time,
Yes.
you would buy a life insurance policy, and that
For
life
you.
insurance policy would be like, well, if I die, my beneficiaries, right? If I die,
Right.
my family members or my friends, whomever I'm leaving this to will get it. But now you can actually buy a life insurance policy where if you become sick or disabled, you can
Yes.
activate that insurance. That's the
Yes.
peace of
Yes.
mind that I was talking about. Like
Such a
you
big piece of
activate it
mind.
and be able to get access to that life insurance policy and be able to use that money for you while you're
Yes.
still alive. They're called the
Yes.
living benefits, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Have you ever seen
Yes.
this happening to anybody? Like I know one of my clients actually, her husband was at the hospital and she was like, I cannot pay the bills. I cannot pay, my mortgage next month because they were already struggling. And she said to me, can I call the insurance company right now and see if I could get some advances, like get some money out of my policy? And I said, yeah, you can. But
Yes.
unfortunately, he died soon after. So the process wasn't even completed by the time he died. So of course
Option.
they ended up getting the entire policy, the death benefit, instead of living benefits. He ended up getting the death benefit. But yeah, I mean, like, isn't that an awesome thing to know that you have a policy? You don't have to leave everything for your family or for your
You
friends or
don't.
anybody. Yeah.
You don't. You don't. You can actually use it right now.
Uh-huh.
And they will be more thankful for you anyway. They're like, oh my gosh, let's do this, let's do this. And you can actually like enjoy the person. Because I really believe in enjoying the person for who they are and enjoying the moment. And this is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, you remember, I don't know if or how long ago was that this young girl, unfortunately, she had been diagnosed with cervical cancer and she had like very minimal, like maybe a couple months to live. And it was all over the news. Like she had taken, I think, 10 of her friends or a few of her friends with family members. They went to Europe to enjoy and stuff.
Gosh,
Yeah, they had a
what a
great
nice
time.
celebration.
Yeah, she went to celebrate life with them. And
Yes,
and when I had done some research and I was looking into it, she actually had a life insurance policy. She
of course.
advanced. She took a death benefit. Sorry, she took a living benefit, a
Mhm.
check, and that check is a check she took and took her friends and her family. She was a single woman. And then guess what? The balance of that life insurance policy was then left for her mom. It was a great thing. And I think that's what gives me peace of mind and what gives so many people that I know peace of mind is the fact that they know that if something were to happen to them, they will be covered. They can take care of
Right.
themselves while they're alive. But if they were to die suddenly too, or after an illness, then whatever is left, or the entire that benefit can be given to a loved one, or they can be passed on to a loved one. So you like the
But
selfish and selfless part of it?
right. But can you remember, can you imagine how much more you will remember that person? Can you imagine, like, let's say like I'm one of her friend that we
Yeah.
actually went to the trip. You can actually feel the person's like, the value of them
Yeah.
versus them being a burden. You
Yeah.
can actually say, like, oh my gosh, remember so and so. Like at this point, you can actually get a chance to be with the person versus then, oh my gosh, this person died, the whole stress, the whole headache. Life is too
Yeah.
short for us to be stressed over things we
Yeah.
can plan.
Yeah, and when I think of the living benefit, right? The living benefit that you get, it's for the critical illnesses. So of course, the critical illnesses that are really critical, like cancer,
Right,
HIV, or you name it. Terminal illnesses, like you not only are you critical, but you terminal. They're saying like you cannot live, and also
right.
chronic illnesses because if
Chronic.
as a nurse, those ADLs, your activities of daily living. If you
Yeah,
cannot bathe yourself, if you cannot move around, if you cannot, feed yourself,
right.
they are, what is it, 5 activities or 6 activities? I always forget.
Mhm.
How many are there?
Yes,
The ADL,
that's five.
five
Big
activities.
deals.
Yeah, 5 activities of daily living that you ought to be
Mhm.
able to do. Like this morning, I woke up, I took my
Eating,
own
leaving.
shower, I went
Yes.
out by myself, I fed
Quality.
myself. So those are activities of daily
Yes.
living. If for
Yeah,
some reason I'm not able to do those things, guess what? You can activate that insurance policy and be able to get the money. So yes, going
right.
on a trip is fun, but what about for the minimal of not being able to do your ADLs, your activities of daily living, and being able to activate that insurance so that you can take care of yourself and
And
have
Gabby,
come in and pay that person to take care of you.
right. And it goes back to what she's saying. You don't, you have to have, you will get left behind with your dignity, with your
Right.
respect. You
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying? You don't have, the person don't have to feel like they're being a burden.
Yeah.
Somebody else can come into the home and actually help. And it's not costing you any money because you actually planned it.
Yeah. So tonight we're doing this show, and the title is Life Insurance Matters. And the reason why we say life insurance matters is because we know that one appointment that we all have is that appointment that one day there will be a phone call to your friends and loved ones saying that
Yes,
unfortunately Gabrielle, or if
yes,
unfortunately X, Y, and Z is no longer with us. And if that happens prematurely and you have a family and you have responsibilities, you definitely want needed to have done some preparation to make sure that you show that you had loved them enough, because insurance is an act of love, that you had care about having your own peace of mind and their own peace of mind. Insurance is all about replacing income, that you wanted to have a
yes.
policy that would replace your income, whether you're sick, we just mentioned it now,
Right.
or whether you died prematurely. And insurance also allows you to die with dignity or live with
Dignity.
dignity,
Live
because
with
this is
dignity.
the living benefit, that's dignity. And also the fact that you can live generational wealth, being able to pass on something to your kids. Now, we just mentioned about the selfish and the selfless part of insurance. Selfish is because it can be used for you. Selfless because you live in it for somebody else. Whether it's the
Yes,
whole thing or a portion of it, you get to leave something behind, but you get to take care of yourself too with the right
yes,
level policy. Now,
yes,
so many folks having have we have a question of the night. Can we ask the question of the night? Let me ask
yes,
you the question of
yes,
the night. We had mentioned every night we're gonna have a question. One of the questions that I had, actually a family member asked me about this. Why is the insurance policy? Why is my premium so expensive? Why is it so expensive to own a policy? So can you talk about the different components that makes up um, the premium, how the premium is calculated in a
Well,
nutshell?
the premium is calculated based on your age,
Mm-hmm,
based on your sex. Females are usually like less expensive than male,
mm-hmm,
and then your health. If you have great health, then of course your policy will be less expensive. And then and it depends the amount that you're requesting.
mm-hmm.
And and it depends what policy you're looking for. Are you looking for a term policy or are you looking for a whole policy? So the premium makes sense. But my thing is, why do we not complain when we buying like a policy for why don't we not complain when we buying like insurance for our cell phone, anything else? But
Yeah.
why do we complain so much when it comes to ourselves?
But when it comes to purchase, usually if there's not an instant um gratification, most people will be complaining. It has to be instant. Like when you buy a bag,
Yes.
when you buy a fancy bag at the supermarket,
Yes,
at the mall, you're like, oh yeah, people say, oh, nice bag, nice bag. Instant gratification. This is here in most cases delayed
that's true. That's true.
gratification. And because
That's
it's
true.
delayed, it's not instantaneous, guess what?
You
Of
don't see
course,
the value.
you don't see the value. But I love that the fact that you said so again, why the cost of an insurance policy will depend on your age, right? So the
Yes,
younger you are, the less expensive it is.
it's
So
expensive.
exercising the option, if you are 25 or 35, you're married, you don't want to wait until you're 55 to get an insurance
No,
policy. You
you
want to
don't.
do it when you're in your 20s. The earlier, the better. Okay. As a matter of
And
fact,
you
you
will,
encourage
and
families to buy it for the kids.
what is it?
You encourage families to buy policies for their kids because of the age factor.
Absolutely, absolutely. One of the things, like, a lot of people always say, well, they're young. But I'm just like, everybody died. Like, accident happen, things happen.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And plus the kids can actually enjoy it better too if you buy it young versus then older.
Yeah. So if you buy a term policy, usually again, the living benefits, if you terminal, critical, or chronic diseases, or if you die prematurely. But if you have a whole life, again, you know, the movie I was sharing with you, you remember one of the
Yes.
scenes, like he actually came and took his policy with him and said to this guy, here's a policy that I have at the time, 1946. It was $15,000. And he said, what is the cash value of that policy?
Okay.
Meaning, like, in addition to having a policy, but that policy can also have accumulated cash value, right? So,
Exactly.
in terms of like, those are like the different types. They're not term insurance, right? What are they? Can you share for those who are watching who might be interested in a permanent? The term is for a time between what, 5 to 10, 1 to 30 years. But the permanent insurance, they come with so many different benefits as well, right?
And they come with a lot of great benefit. Because, for example, you can get if you get a policy for a kid, let's say like, the kid is like, and a lot of people doesn't know this too, Gabrielle, that you can get a policy for a little infant. It
Okay.
doesn't have to be a big kid. So let's say you get a whole life policy for a little kid, for a baby that the baby's like 2 years old, like a year old. And then by the time this kid get to be like 40, 50, this is the same policy. Can you imagine the amount of cash value that that kid can actually get on that policy? And you can use that, the cash value in that policy for everything or anything. You can
Correct.
pay college with it. You can go abroad with it because you're a you're a shop traveler. So you can do anything with that money. And then to me, I feel like the level of confidence is amazing.
Correct. And I always, well, I remember one time when I was teaching God, Money, and You at the church, and I was trying to explain to the participants the difference between term policy and a permanent policy. I said, think about term as you renting an apartment. You rent an apartment, as long as you pay your apartment, you pay your rent, you get to stay there. But after a time, most likely you have to go. You know, you could be there for 50 years, but if the landlord sells and a child decided, you know, my parents are no longer here, I want to sell this property, guess what? You have to go, right?
Gotta
But
go.
if you good tenants, most likely you stay for a long time. If you're not good, they kick
Yes.
you out. Whereas a permanent policy is you buying a home. I
Buying a
remember
home.
years ago, somebody told me that I bought a home. Actually, yeah, a friend of mine who's in her 80s. She said that I bought a home in Boston for $5,000. That was like in the 70s. She bought a home for $5,000. And now in 2024, that property is worth over $1 million, right? So
Wow.
imagine a permanent policy is like that. Because the term policy, you get no value. You just covered, right? You covered. As long as you stay, you covered until they kick you out. You have a home to stay, you have an apartment until the landlord said goodbye.
Until
Whereas
your time is up.
yeah, whereas the permanent policy, it's your own. It's your own house. You get to keep it. You have shelter, you have coverage. But guess what? When the property keeps going up in value, and now the $5,000 she paid, now her not only is she getting the benefit, this woman loves to travel, so I'm sure she's done what is it, a cash out
Oh
refinancing,
my
because you
gosh.
know you have so much equity, you can take the cash, what do you call it, the cash value, that's what it is, equity. You have so much equity you can take out to do whatever you want. But guess
Anything.
what? Leaving that behind for your children is gonna give them the benefit too of generational wealth. Because those who are
Yes.
able to keep their homes can pass it on to their kids, and that's how you give your kids a better life. You know, so yeah, that's how I was able to explain it so that everybody could understand. Yeah, you want to build equity.
Good explanation though.
You want to have a permanent life insurance policy. But again, when you at the time when she was buying the house for $5,000, you know how much it was to rent an apartment?
No.
$50 a week. So you
You
still
know,
need to have the money. So a permanent insurance costs more than a
yes,
term insurance. But if you can discipline yourself and invest into a permanent insurance, you buy what you can afford. Don't go buy a mansion if you cannot afford a mansion. You buy
you
what you
gotta
can afford.
start. You gotta start.
Yeah.
You gotta start because you can always add on, but you gotta get started.
Yeah, yeah, you
You
buy
got
what you can afford and then you take care of it. There's so many things we don't want to go into. It just I like that analogy because of the fact that for a lot of people they can relate to the fact that of the idea of renting and owning, right? And when you own a house, oh my gosh, you can change your kitchen, you can change the
it's yours.
backyard, you can do so many different fancy things. Guess what? That's what a whole life, universal life, variable life. There's so many ways that you can structure your permanent policy for you and your family. And the key is for you to get it started because, again, with the question for the night, your age, your sex, your health. Because the
Yes.
younger you are, the healthier you are. When you get older,
Yeah.
things get complicated. How much, buy what you can afford. How much do you need? Buy what you can afford and build overnight. And also whether it's permanent or term insurance will determine how much you pay. But the
Right.
key of the matter is we just mentioned all the different benefits, why you should have it. So you got to plan for that, right?
You got to plan for it. But one thing people always ask me is why which one is better? That's always like the number one question. Which
Yeah.
one is better? To me, I don't think there's a better one, there's a great one. You have to assess your family needs because I personally have both. Because like with
Well,
the term one, if something happened to me immediately, everything gets paid. And then with the permanent one, then I get my investments done with them. So after a few years, I use it as my own bank. So that way I don't have to go to the bank. I can actually use my life insurance policy. So I tell people, I'm just like, there's really not one that's better than another one. It depends on your budget, but figure out what you want and make it work for you. Find
well,
out what you want for your family.
where are you right now, Gabrielle? Where are you right now? Are you in a house? Does it
I
matter if
mean,
it's a rental place, if you're renting, or if I said it's cold outside and you said I'm at home? Does it matter if you, well, when I ask you the question, are you in a house? Yes, I'm in a house. Does it primarily, like at first, does it matter if it's an apartment that you're renting or a house that you own? It doesn't matter. You have a house. You have shelter, right? I'm not outside. I'm in a home. I have shelter. But now, when I'm ready and good and ready, and I have the finances, I might say, you know what, I
right,
want shelter. But in addition to shelter, I want to build something else. That's when you
right.
get the permanent insurance. If you cannot afford a permanent insurance, just like if you cannot afford to own a home, do you stay homeless? You don't stay
Wow.
homeless. Do you go to
Right,
a friend's house and say, I'm gonna crash
right,
on your couch because I don't want to pay rent because rent doesn't make sense? No, you don't do that. It's likewise, if you cannot afford a $500,000 permanent a house, you cannot afford it, you get a policy where you pay $50 a month for rent. You pay
stay on
for
your
term
stay on
insurance
your budget.
because your children, your wife, your loved ones, your parents, if you're taking care of them, they need to have a place to stay.
Yes,
They need to have
yes,
your covering. Let
shelter.
my favorite my favorite Psalms is Psalms 91. It says,
Oh, mine too.
he who dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High. You gotta be in the secret. You gotta be covered under the shelter of
Yes,
the Almighty. To me,
that's
life
it.
insurance is you being covered so that
Covered.
your children and your loved ones can have the
Mhm.
peace of mind, and you too can have the peace of mind, knowing that you took care of them and that they'll
Yes,
be okay. So again, Gabrielle, we wanted to have this conversation this year because we said at the beginning of the year that actually end of last year that we're gonna go over more in depth all the different products we've been mentioning on the show. We've talked about life insurance before, but we wanted to go into more details. There's so much more. Where do you get life insurance? Call an insurance agent. Call Gabrielle. She'll help you. How do you, if you are uninsurable, because we talk about health, right? If you become uninsurable, you might say, well, I cannot afford to buy insurance anymore because I'm no longer healthy. Guess what? If you are over the age of 50, AARP is there for you, right? Go find out a community where you can get a group insurance. And some people can only get it at work because they have pre-existing conditions, right?
Oh, yeah, some people can only get it for, but there's other companies that will actually insure you, knowing that you are not healthy. It might cost you a little more,
Correct.
but there's companies there for that.
Yeah,
So I tell people, I'm like, ask, ask, ask. Don't just figure out, oh, I'm too old, I'm too this, I'm too that. Let's have a conversation and let's see what's in your budget that you can actually afford. Because I had like, one of my client actually is 55 and had a stroke and been in a nursing home. And he has a company that actually accepted him to actually insure him. So that's why I tell people, I'm just like, don't don't make your condition only your personal responsibility. Let that be my personal responsibility to actually find you the best plan.
correct. Life insurance is an act of love. You love
Yes,
your family, you
you
gotta
do.
act. Life insurance gives you peace of mind. You want to sleep at night and not have to worry
Yes.
about what if something were to happen, the what ifs. What if something were to happen? What if I die prematurely? Or what if I get sick, I get a stroke and I become paralyzed? I cannot do my activities of daily living anymore.
Yes.
There's social security, there's other benefits that you get. But let me tell you, if you want to keep your lifestyle and keep your children in the same
Yes.
school system, you wanna keep
Yes.
your home, you want to keep everything that you have and not really change drastically everybody's lives, guess what?
Yes.
You have to plan for that.
You
Do you
have
need a
to.
lot of money? H-
You
How old are
don't.
you? How old are
You
you? How
don't.
is your health? You need to
Yes.
call and get the support that you need and get the help that you need so that at the end of the
Definitely.
day, I see behind you, Gabrielle. Again, you said, ask me how I can help protect your family. That's a beautiful question. That's a
Yeah.
really, it's almost like saying, ask me, how can I love your family? Because
Wow.
it's
Thank
an
you,
important,
Gabby.
yeah. Your QR code, right? For those who are
Yes.
watching, they can click on that, and your
Yes.
information is right there. If you are, I'm not sure, because Gabrielle, you are in Georgia, right? So I'm
I'm
assuming,
licensed over 25 states.
okay. Oh, that's
So
great.
yes.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. We are here for you. We want you
Yes.
to know that yeah, we care about family. We care about, so if you're watching the show tonight, we are about to say goodbye. And I'm gonna give you an opportunity to say the last word, but I just wanna say before we say goodbye here, if you're watching the show and you're watching every single week, because we do see you watching, the numbers don't lie, right? And you don't
Yeah.
share with your friends, your cousin, that cousin that
Right.
you love, it's an act of love.
Yes.
Your
It's
friend
important.
that went to high school with you, that sister who's saying, like, I have 3 kids, what would happen to me
Wow.
if I were to die prematurely? I kid you not, I sat with someone in 2019 and I told her, you need to get a life insurance policy because you have 2 kids and you need to do that. And she did. She went and got in policy.
Oh,
May of 2020 during COVID, she died at 46.
oh my gosh.
And the funny thing is, her mom was a beneficiary and the person who was there to take care of the kids. 6 months later, mom died. So life happens.
That
We don't want to
happens.
be ill prepared. So we have to do what we need to do to take care of ourselves. Life is
Yes.
about doing your best. We're not here saying like if you haven't done something, you're a bad person. No.
No.
But now you know. When we know
No.
better, we gotta do better, right?
Yes.
2024 is gonna be your best year ever.
I'll miss
That's
you.
my goal for you, and that's my goal for my
Yes.
life. My best
Yes.
year. And the way it's gonna be best is by me taking in information, do
Yes.
something about it,
Do
but be
something.
nice enough, be courteous
Yes.
enough, be loving enough to not only do it for myself, but keep sharing it. You don't have to say anything, but click and share and let your friends know. Gabrielle, didn't you tell me, how come I never heard about you, Gabrielle, until your cousin who lives here in Boston said to me, you know, I was having a conversation with her. I'd not seen her in a long time. And I called her. She's a lovely lady. I called her and I said, hey, Mika, how you doing? She was like, oh, yeah, I'm doing great. And she's like, you know, I have a cousin who you and her, you have the same name. And she is an insurance agent and she's always talking about the work that she did. Let me tell you, Mika, I met her. Mika told me that she got her insurance license. She only wrote one policy, one, after she got her license, because she ended up doing another, going someplace in a different direction. But that one person died 2 years later. So one of the things that we don't want to do as, as insurance agents, you never want to deliver that check, but it's a good feeling when you're able to deliver that check and you know that someone just died with dignity and that their family members, their children, the wives or husband, not gonna be in total destitution because they took the time to plan. And I never forgot that. She was like, I only did one policy and that was it. I never did anything else. So when she was talking to me about you, and I said, definitely, you would be the perfect person for this conversation tonight. So yeah, what would be your last word before we say goodbye tonight?
Take action, love the people that we love the right way. It's not enough to say like, I love you, I love you. Love selfishly. Love, how did you say again?
Selflessly and selfishly.
Yes, yes. Because like that's the right love. It's not enough, like, let's take action. Okay, you worry about your budget, let's get something. It does not have to break the bank. There's something available for you, and I guarantee you that.
And the younger you are, the better it is for you.
Better it is, the
It
better.
is important. So please do. Now you know better. Please do better. Thank you so much for your
It's the
time
better.
again.
Thank you, Gabby, for having me.
Yeah, thank you for
Yeah,
coming, Gabby. Love
thank
never
you.
fails, and we want you to love your family unconditionally, and we want you to love yourself unconditionally.
Yes,
So please take care of
yes.
yourself. Thank you so much. Tag, share, make a comment. Be selfless and selfish. Selfless for yourself,
Selfish and
but selfless for your friends. Share and selfless. Keep that information for yourself and do something about it. God
That's
bless you.
right.
See you
God
next
bless.
week. Yeah, see
Thank
you next week for
you.
another episode of Let's Talk Money with Friends. And we are gonna be coming back with a great topic because a lot of my friends have been DMing me saying like, we need to talk about this topic. So stay tuned next week.